All right, we are live, and this is the Rabyd Atheist. I am your host, Ed Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel. uh, but today is the Stoic Atheist, and I'm talking about moral and ethical discussions. Usually on Mondays, I'm talking about philosophy, whatever. The question today: without a God, what is the basis of human ethics? Is a response to probably a lot of stuff that I get, and we're going to talk about it today. So it's kind of where we're heading, but I do want to get some housekeeping items off the table. Um, I'm moving more to streaming 4 times a week. And I really enjoyed Saturday and the fact that I didn't have to stream. I know that sounds awful, but I slept as long as I wanted to. I got up when I wanted to. I had relaxed all day and had a great day. Got some stuff done. And I suddenly realized how much I need a day like that. And Saturday is a perfect one. So I'm going to try to keep that stream free. But in response to that, I've eliminated ads from my streams. I'm not going to do ads. So how much we do stuff is going to greatly depend on you guys. Friday stream will still be conditional on getting 10 super chats during the week and then 3 broadcasts. So that's that. And I'll keep you informed of the goals and where we stand all week long. But 10 super chats will get us the Friday stream where I'll video react. And then 15, that will also be 20, that'll also be a hat reveal day. So I'm going to do a lot of things on Friday, put a lot of things on Friday broadcasts. So that's where we're at with that. And hopefully this will be the last week without too many videos. But March is just such a crazy month for me with all the birthdays that we have in March in my family. I got another one Tuesday, so Rapid Fire will be on Wednesday. And then we'll do deconversion hangout on Thursday this week. And then Friday stream, if I get enough super chats, I need 10 of those. So that's kind of how I'm going to work it for a while to keep my sanity. But let's see who's here. Jay Cow is here. He was the first one here and reminded us it's time to get rabid. And then Rimmer was here. I don't know, Michigan Mauler. Oh, man. I am a very, very large Wolverine if I'm a Wolverine. So Wolverines are small, and I am not that. And Atomic Punk shows up, asks us how we're all doing. I am tired. And I think that was pretty much the consensus of most of us. Let's see. M8 watched a funny short of a lady throwing her sugar and it flew back to her as a bird, and a bird grabbed it. I'm reminded of a video I saw that's kind of harsh, but it was about hawks, and hawks are very interesting. They'll circle an area, and this little kid had this pet mouse, and they were playing with it, and he's holding it in his hand and everything, and then the kid lets go of the mouse, and well, let the mouse go play, and within literally 2 seconds, this hawk swoops down and kills the mouse and takes it away. Harsh lessons of life, but yes, I've seen stuff like that where people get surprised by stuff. It's like, don't worry about that. Grumpy Librarian is there. I'm not showing a video today. I want a discussion on the basis of secular ethics today. I'm much more interested in that. Mondays are going to kind of be that, where I'm just talking about something moral or ethical or philosophical. And today I want to get to the basis of secular ethics. So Paul's here. That's good. Let's see. Wolf is here. Iron is here. Yeah, I know you sleep, Paul. I appreciate it when you're here. And Katie's here. Afternoon to all the heathens. What? Dig? Welcome, Dig. Um, kind of, sort of. uh, uh, we just had very little grammar, which makes four past tenses very confusing to me. Earl's here. Oh, Earl. But yeah, all the heathens say here. I'm here. All right. I know many of you atheists and many atheist YouTubers and myself. I don't think I go more than a couple weeks without some theist accusing me of not having any basis for morality or ethics or any of that. And most of the time, my response has been that's not true. Okay, there is a basis for morality, there is a basic for ethics, there is a basis for stuff that's very human. You may disagree with it, but the accusation that we don't have one without a God is false. Okay, it's like you may disagree with that. I notice that apologists do not give it up, though. They continue to make the accusation that I don't have any basis for morality, I don't have the basis for ethics without a God, that a God is somehow necessary um, to any kind of moral ethical. The assumption that there has to be an authority that gives us the basis for morals and ethics. It's not just a religious question. As a libertarian, I also deal with this when it comes to government. Would we be, for instance, moral or ethical without a government watching over us? I'm of the opinion that I think most people have an evolved moral sense that if they just listened to it, they would be all right. But a lot of times, I think societal pressures just, you know, push us certain directions. So, little Fluffy running around the yard and you can't understand why they did it. I don't know. J. Cal may have started a new phrase to start every stream. It's time to get rabid. So let's go. Yeah, this is an argument that all of us get, and it pisses us off. And you know, having a good discussion on what is the basis for secular morals and secular ethics. Um, and for me, I have kind of moved down the line that morals and ethics are kind of a necessary thing for any social species. Like I've been studying other species and other like flocks of birds, packs of dogs and wolves, other social species of which there are many, also seem to have some sort of moral or ethical code that's innate. Like there's certain things that happen to certain people when certain individuals in that society that happen when they violate those rules. Okay, like it's one of those things that we have to even function. I have to know how to treat people in order to function in a society. Okay. And so, from my perspective, it's always been okay, human beings have evolved to a point where now we're injecting more than just, like moral intuition. We're injecting things like reason and logic into our ethical systems, trying to get something that is a little bit more fair and balanced for everybody. You're here, but you're not a heathen. Okay, fair enough. Uh, I agree with you. It still pisses me off. It still makes me cranky, cranky elder god. It makes me cranky because it's like at that point I don't know that I'm talking to somebody who's even philosophically literate. At that point, I agree it's a rah rah for believers, but you know if you don't have a big brother watching you, would you still act ethically? And my answer is yes, because it kind of is the thing that I would do. I don't, I, to me, humans have gotten to a point in their evolutionary development where they're looking at morals and ethics. They're throwing in rationality, they're throwing in reason, they're throwing in logic, they're throwing in a rational understanding of human moral intuition. So yeah, yeah, this is kind of my point back to them that morality predates humanity. Like, there are other primate species that existed before us that seem to demonstrate it. When you look at other primate species that still exist, there's definitely a moral system in place. And that's why I say I think it's an evolutionary development. I would haven't finished this book, but there's a book that's on my shelf, I think, in the back, Moral Origins, and I've read part of it. And his starting is, we need morals and ethics like we need any other survival trait, and without it, we just don't function. So, thanks, Abe. Yes, when plenty proves the historical. Jesus, it's the same annoyance level. Okay. Yes, I think dolphins have ethics. They've been observed. They also have ethics in the way they interact with human beings. Like, it's not just their own dolphin ethics. They have an ethic when they deal with outsiders. Okay, outsider ethics is an interesting thing. So, um, uh, you do. You have a very similar source of your morals and ethics, B.S. Lewis, as many religious folks. Then they just get it. They get it from that. So, yes, your morals are dirty. Oh, believe in gods. I don't know. I don't know if you can be a godless heathen. I remember that shirt, and the heathens don't like that we use it. Nature isn't big on them. Yeah. Let's see. I lived in Hawaii, circling the whales, giving birth to protect them from the sharks. Yeah, see, that's my thing. Okay. I think survival and thriving kind of leads to most of our ethical systems. It's very much inherent in us to survive as a group. We band together as a group. There's rules within the group about that you don't jeopardize that survival by bad behavior. Thriving comes into that, having more than enough so you don't have to struggle. Um, I I think we can look to nature for our morality. I think we can look at our own human nature for morality. I I've spent a long time looking at this after I deconverted. I'm like, one of the biggest questions I had was, what is the basis for my ethics and morals? How do I behave? Because of the long indoctrination into the fact that you have to have a big brother giving you commands about what is right and wrong. The problem was, the biblical example I was given wasn't a very moral or ethical person in my human estimation. And that became a real problem when you're a preacher trying to defend the God of the Bible all the time when he's kind of an ass. So Yahweh in particular, has some very questionable ethics that seem to be hypocritical. And then you add Jesus and, threatening people with hell if they don't behave themselves, kind of added to that. So I don't want to look, without God, what secular ethics does, what atheist is basically, in a sense, required to do is, okay, we take the God authoritarian ethics out of it. What are we left with? And we still have a good ethical system without it. So let's see. The most ridiculous pro atheist that I came across, it takes a strong mind to believe in a higher power without questioning it. Okay. I would say the opposite, but yeah. Yeah, when hunger and survival aren't the issue. Yeah, I can see that. Oh, Earl, you had to bring it up. Okay, whales and dolphins, are they citizens? If Azo was here, he'd be like, I'm against the whale citizenship unless we give other species citizen. So, the thing about it, Kyle, is the golden rule appears everywhere. I heard one secular ethicist remark that that's a secular ethic, and every religion seems to have borrowed some form of it. It's like the idea of treating people like we would want ourselves to be treated, or not doing to people what we don't want done to us, on and on, that kind of whole discussion, because you can get in, there's a few flaws in that reasoning, but as a general rule, it appears everywhere. Like every religion has it. It's not unique to Christianity. And so it's like it probably is the only thing. It is probably a universal secular ethic that human beings kind of instinctually developed. And now, every religion copies it and says they're the origin of it. When it becomes unstable, it becomes worthless. I always love that when people say, "What is cryptocurrency based on?" It's in thin air, and you know, it's like, have you examined the Federal Reserve lately? So, uh, yes, this is another thing about human empathy. I know, like, theists will bash on human empathy a lot, or they don't think it's a good basis, but we relate better and have better moral systems when our empathy is in full gear. And my problem with religion in general is it tends to diminish empathy for anybody outside the tribe. So I just don't see how that's a problem. But many religions will tell you, like, the fact that you can get an apologist to argue that the genocide of the Amalekites wasn't a bad thing tells you the effect of religion has on the moral ethical systems of people, to dehumanize them. Because there's an advantage to people in power to dehumanize us, to not allow us to see people as human beings. So I've always thought that that's a very interesting part of the discussion, is the human empathy. And somehow there's a reason why these religions don't like empathy. They like empathy as long as it's within the group, but outside the group, they don't want it. They want a lack of empathy, and you have to be trained to do that. You're dead on in that you can do these with kids and infants and stuff like that, and they will resonate, okay, with their human empathy. But you can be trained out of that, and religion is a real good tool to train people out of it. So, defined as a code of conduct wasn't written into genetics, like would it exist on Earth? Yeah. I don't think humans could get along without any morality at all. I just find it very odd that people can't see that morality is kind of inherent. So there's that. So, uh, yeah, social cohesion for your own benefit. It's quite a useful tool in that respect, Dig, because you can use religion to benefit yourself, while all the while looking like it is very much a social thing, like we're benefiting everybody, but in the end, somebody gets benefited at the top. So, theoretically speaking, if some creatures obtain morals from eating magic fruit, would some entity eating those creatures also gain those morals? Why do you say so, cranky elder god? What is your basis for this question? Are you trying to figure out that if an elder god ate more humans that supposedly got all this stuff from a magical fruit, that god would become more moral and ethical, have more human empathy? Would that happen? It's a good theory to do it. A replicant citizens asking for a friend. I don't know. Yes, I would agree with you that a lot of different species understand the golden rule of treating each other the same. Take what you want and pay for it. Okay. I'm not sure that's completely accurate, but yeah, it's unfortunate but true. Do unto others as you would have them do unless they are. There's a lot of verses of scripture that are very secular ethic oriented that a lot of Christians don't follow. Like, you know, the one that really pushes their buttons is, do good to your enemies, you know, that sort of thing. That's something that I haven't experienced in a while from most Christians. So, uh, yes, I've seen Elon's quote on that, and he's full of shit. I would say that to his face, but okay, I just don't get the opportunity to talk to Elon Musk these days. But yeah, he empathy is what binds us together. Okay, it's what allows me to see other human beings. I don't know why Elon has become this authority on ethics and morals. He doesn't really actually do anything well. He hires other people to do stuff for him. I've learned that from perusing the internet. There's a lot of people that analyze Musk, and Musk's only real talent is he had a lot of money to start with, and he knows how to get people to make him more money. That's pretty much it. But if you think, rockets being caught by a thing is the product of Elon Musk's genius, you got another thing coming. There's some scientists that figured that out. So sometimes, sometimes, maybe. Yeah, I think. See, this is why it really bothers me when people want to say human empathy isn't a good basis for things. It seems like it is the basis for things. It's just we figure out religion shows us ways to dehumanize people by not showing them empathy, and 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 other sides of that. So, but yes, it's one of the things I've been studying and looking at is how we human beings can't really get along without a human empathy. It's just different forces like political and religious forces will train us to having empathy for some and not empathy for others over time. As we get more sophisticated, the tribalism starts to kick in. Um, yeah, social complexity. So, yeah, it's dollars with extra steps, I suppose. But that's kind of pulls the point about money. So, uh, that's kind of interesting because you're talking cranky older God brings up a good point because is that's what happening in communion is, especially Catholic communion, where it becomes the literal body and blood of Christ that, because Christ is inherently moral, that's where they're getting their source of morality, that they just eat the bread and drink the blood and they become more moral people because Jesus was so moral. I don't know, maybe that's that. Mm. As a for a father to favor one child because the God of the Bible does this constantly. I don't know. I have three children. Okay, theoretically, I love them all the same, but the fact of the matter is, in the moment, who I have the closest relationship to, the one I'm communicating with the most, I think we develop empathy with that which is familiar to us. But I don't think an ethical system like the problem what we get rid of in secular ethics is this kind of favoritism because of birth order or bastardy is not a concept. Okay, in secular ethics you can take the idea of a bastard child and toss it out the window. Okay, because they're still a human being and they shouldn't be judged based on what their parents do, kind of thing. You dump that bullshit right out the window. I think secular ethics has the advantage of you can create an ethical system that even religious people will agree to, like do unto others as you would do unto you. Seems to be something that we all kind of sort of agree to with, terms and conditions applied. But yeah, you can dump this favoritism right out the window. Like when I left Christianity, that's the one thing I got tired of defending, was the fact that the first child is some sort of special thing. And I get how society does that to our kids in the first place, but getting rid of the biblical ethic about it was just easy. That's an open question. I There are multiple answers, and I think they're all true. Uh, I think Christopher Hitchens described religion as our best and worst, our first and worst attempt at understanding the world, and we've grown up since. And I think religion kind of culminates when you have like you apply agency to the wind, okay, or you apply agency, because agency, an assumption of agency is a good survival trait. Like if you see the grass moving, it might be a lion, when primitive man is developing. And so you take that seriously. Well, then there's no lion. Well, something else moved it. And you start to create gods that way. So human beings create gods and religions, I think, out of a social desire for constructs when they can't understand something. So, but as we've come to understand things better and get the real explanations for them, um, yeah. So, short answer: platinum rule. Do unto others as they would have you do unto them. Long answer involved. Yes, true. I'm being offensive to Maria. Oh, because I'm equating Elon Musk's idea of lacking human empathy to a pile of shit. He's full of shit. Yeah, I suppose I shouldn't be upsetting. I shouldn't be insulting to the shit. Yeah, I mean, I would say, dude, human empathy is why you love your kids, okay, and why you keep having so many of them. These women need to get over their empathy with you, Mr. Musk. Um, yeah, you have to begin to relate to the person you're having empathy with, and that's the reason why people like Musk, and I would also argue Trump, don't like empathy, is because they don't want to relate to other people because it gets in their way of what they're trying to do. You can fire people pretty easily. We all joke about Trump, how he used to be on the reality show. He had his own reality show, his catchphrase, "You're fired." And it's like, but that whole idea of just callously firing somebody and throwing people up to the wolves is a very non-empathy point of view. To be a boss, um, learning how to let people go with empathy is a real skill. I've only experienced it once. So, but yeah, people shut off their empathy to do crappy things to each other. So that's from Fallout series, bro. That's the uranium rule. It's particularly active in all the Fallout games. So certain point in areas when Christians were civilizing tribes at a particular time with the Germanic tribes. Yes, they did. Um, Mostly because the religious ethics were very, very different. If you study like paganism at the time versus Christianity, they're very it wasn't just a war about gods, it was a war about ethical systems and how to treat each other. And they were definitely coming into conflict about that. So, yeah, cannot understand why killing was not okay, but natural didn't come with the frame. Okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. So, I don't know. Both sides didn't seem to really. If you look at the paganism versus Christianity, both sides don't seem to have this. They have the idea that killing is wrong, but only to your own people. So, no. I mean, it, the problem with the space race now is it's more about who's going to get there first and make money. So we've graduated in our technology to that level. But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. But I know full well that Elon isn't the scientist behind his rockets. Okay, he's not the guy guiding SpaceX. He leaves other people to do that, so he can go do what he wants. If he was making all those decisions, he wouldn't have time to be head of the Doge. So, so there's that. Yeah, there's an element to that. I'm a capitalist, but I don't think capitalism works very well when you incorporate it. So it's corporatism that's kind of the real thing that damages that. Um, but yeah, but this is true in government too. Like if you are the king of a nation, and he's known for his great compassion to his own people, and he's death to his enemies, kind of comes out to governments have had that form. I mean, you see it with Americans or any nation really. Outsiders are always treated lesser than people who are in the inside. A lot of people, immigrants are always treated poorly by some in every country. Yeah, that's my largest problem with religion is make sure they're born and make sure that, yeah, as George Carlin said, make sure once they hit 18, they're ready to go to war. Then you're the perfect thing that we need to go die on some hill in some foreign land for no damn good reason. So, yeah, so there's that. I haven't had a chance to watch it all the way through yet. So sorry, Bren, but I've been listening to it at work and I want to make sure I do it well. But yes, I am listening to it, but I'm taking my time with it. So I'll see what that. I know the thing with deconversion is with Christians that are still there, they just don't fathom it. So I don't know if resources will ever be allocated that way. Scarcity is always a problem. So, I mean, why do you think that Trump and Musk are so interested in Greenland? Like, nobody had any interest in Greenland until recently. Why is that? Oh, rare minerals are there. Huh. All of a sudden, we're interested. See, that's going to be the new thing. Is Americans aren't going to run around with their military going after places with petroleum anymore. We're going to be looking for rare minerals because we got to have our cell phones. So, um, I think. See, that's the real problem. Is it a who or a what? Okay. Is it the nature of humanity that decides it? Is that a who or a what? Okay. I mean, there's some things I can't get along and do very well without behaving myself. Okay. So, yeah, I suppose that's the nature of relationships. I don't necessarily love one more than the other. I don't think you're going to treat them the same. I think the issue that a lot of people have is with kids is how much are you loving them? Okay. What do you, I think with parents, it's a lot of times it's like, what are you willing to sacrifice for each kid? If it came to it, like, if I had to give a kidney, like all three of my children all suddenly develop the need to have one of my kidneys, which one do I give it to? Yeah. It becomes that kind of thing. So all those wonderful moral quandaries questions. I'm not sure he does. I mean, if he thinks human empathy is a weakness, I can't imagine what he's teaching his kids about that. Uh, I taught my kids to always try to, relate to people as best as possible. Like I've always tried to teach them that there's some sort of sense that you should register with somebody else's humanity. So I don't know how you do that when you think human empathy is weakness. So there's that. Empathy is the reason I don't like fishing. I always feel bad for the stupid fish, but have no problem. I don't know. I don't know if that's rational or irrational. You don't have a problem eating the fish. Me either. Uh, I've come to terms with the fact that part of morals and ethics is that some of us, if you're going to survive, something's got to be eaten. And usually that thing eaten is also living at some point. Um, and what level of empathy you have, I guess, kind of determines what you're willing to eat. Yeah, see, this is something I learned from writing stories. Okay, the best villains are the ones that actually have empathy towards something. Okay, every villain is the good guy in their own mind, and once you get that effect, it's that. So, uh, yeah, he doesn't seem to be following a lot of his rules anymore. He's not really interested in deals anymore. He's interested in pushing, and I think that's why things are going to backfire on him pretty quick. Yeah, I kind of uses one of them as a stage prop. I thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah, but when you think human empathy is a weakness, I guess that justifies how you treat your kids. So work. You don't have any feelings? Okay. I don't think emotions. I think the thing with truth and morals and ethics is human beings, I think, have gotten to the point where logic and reason have entered the thing. And there's also senses of certain things like justice and equality and things like that that have developed over time and gotten more and more sophisticated. Um, and because of that, emotions aren't the best thing, but they do have some say in it. Okay, so that might be. I was taught that in religion, blessed is, children are a blessing from the Lord. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. So if you want to have more arrows in your quiver, more chances of hitting the target rightly, have more kids. So your kids are a means to an end. And that is straight out of the Bible. It's one of those biblical ethics that really bothers me. Like, have more kids so you can have more chances at having a successful kid. So, I guess I'm trying to figure out what the questions be. Why are they called God's chosen people? Who is not chosen? Uh, define, clarify. Um, yes, I think so too. I agree with that, Ronald. Yeah, there used to be a guided capitalism where we had an understanding of ethics towards each other. It was about serving each other more than getting. Capitalism is one of the few economic systems that takes advantages of people's self-interest to create something good, but that only works if we're concerned about serving each other, um, instead of getting the most out of at other people's expense. It's when greed gets into it that it becomes a problem. But it's still the best economics. Well, it's the worst economic system ever, except all the rest of them. So I I can show you tons of the U.S. code that would argue against that. It's regulated to hell. Although I would say, given the current president, I don't think that any of those regulations are going to be enforced. Yes, the objection, I will agree with this. How silly the objective morals question is. Corporations, to their share, they can't always do what they think is the right thing. And that's the problem with corporatism. My objection is to the corporations, because when you have a duty to an outside entity, such as your shareholders, then you don't necessarily do the right thing, you do the most profitable thing. Whereas if you don't have shareholders, that changes. So, if you run a fruit stand and you give people poisoned fruit, that's not a benefit to them or you. When you can hide behind a corporate shield of no liability, then it's much easier to do the wrong thing for profitability's sake. So, yeah. Oh, did he? I bet she wanted it for the oil. We've been doing the oil thing since Truman. It's one of the things that embarrasses me about our country. It's like, why do we always have to take over people with oil, and why can't we just like make trades with them? But I know it's not green. It's pretty white. It's like covered with snow and ice. It's kind of like Iceland. Iceland's not covered with ice, so so that's kind of what's going on with that. So yes, rare earths have been now used as a propaganda for. That's why I say we're shifting from oil to rare earth minerals. So that's what we're going to do. That. Probably it's equally as fair, but I don't see, knowing what I know about capitalism, I just don't see it that much anymore. Uh, you have difficulties with empathy, apparently. I don't know, Earl. I do too, but I recognize that the problem is I have good empathy with everybody. I just don't act on it, because I'm not sure. I've had bad experiences being empathic. Like I really reach out to somebody that I really feel, and they get irritated by it, and I don't understand why they're flipping irritated. Okay, my autistic brain doesn't register. Why are you irritated when I'm trying to be nice to you? So, so yeah, he doesn't like that either. Yeah, he's a piece of work. I People ask me who scares me more, Trump or Elon, and it's Elon. So he's a weirdo, and I'm a weirdo saying it. So it comes across. Does that is that true? Yeah, I want an explanation. I'm with Earl. Explain double empathy for me, please. Because on the one hand, I pick up people's emotions real well. I just do not understand what the hell is going on. So there's that. Um, so there's that. Hey, Alex. Uh, yeah, I've been called, cold blooded, lacking emotion. The autistic masking kicks my ass when it comes to relationship. I'm having that problem at work right now too, because people find it very easy to criticize me because I don't seem to have any empathy in return. And so it ends up being kind of one of those things where I have to deal with it. So I guess I'm trying to figure that out, because having empathy for people is often backlashed on me, and I don't understand why. Okay, so yeah, okay. I don't think it was. I think the better explanation was we get better and better explanations. So there's that. Resides outside the ego. That's an interesting theory, Coyote. And by the way, welcome. first time I've seen you comment, so welcome. I don't know. Empathy involves others. Okay, so is there a dynamic between human beings that exists as a social issue? Like, is the natural inherent social contract that people talk about, although I don't like the word contract, but so there's that. And they also give out dividends to their shareholders, which the shareholders like, and the value of their increased stocks is something they also like too. I think Earl's going to respond from there, please. I don't necessarily do that. I don't necessarily come up with an experience that I share with anybody. So I don't know if anybody's hearing the noise in the background, but they doing construction upstairs. So I do apologize for that, but I can't control it. So, but I don't know if that's how it works for me either. I don't necessarily, dude. I'm so introverted and antisocial. I don't share experiences at all half the time. So, so have their moment. See, I don't. I think I've gotten to the point, Earl, where I've been dulled to the point where I just don't do that anymore. It's always ended badly, and I just don't want to deal with it anymore. So they put up with it because it's profitable. They make money. If you want to know the source of most evils, just follow the money. Just follow who's getting paid and why. So, yeah, the big institutional investors do. Most shareholders don't own enough of the company to really say so about anything. You know, most shareholders are small time. So, I don't know that emotions will ever go outdated. Um, there's something about emotions that are kind of the glue. The empathy feeling towards others is part of the basis of secular morals and ethics, right there with law. I don't necessarily think that they're irreconcilable. The fact that we have emotions and they do certain things is well known. Yeah, it's not the correct emotional response. Okay, is that what you're getting at? Yeah, me either. I think that's why I get in trouble at work, Earl, because people think I'm a cold-blooded bastard, and it's just like, no, I'm not. Um, my 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 issue with being autistic and morality. This is a good discussion because autistic people do have problems with how people treat each other. Okay, and because it doesn't make sense to us. And it's because we don't get the natural social dynamics at the time. But I get all kinds of shit leveled at me because people find it easy to do so, because I don't seem to show any emotions about it. Like I don't care, and it's not that I don't care. I just don't feel there's a point. So, no. Yeah, exactly. I just don't feel it's necessary. And so this is a human empathy question of morals and ethics. Is like my morals and ethics comes from a place of I get you're upset. I understand that you're upset. I don't understand why. And so, yeah. Oh, I thought I was the only one that got this thought. When people like me and smile at me and have a good opinion about me, I'm like, what the hell is going on? Oh my gosh. Oh, oh, Earl, that has just made my day because I feel that so much. It's like when I have a good day at work and people seem to genuinely like me, I'm like, what in the fuck is wrong with them? What in the hell is going on? Uh, yeah, it's a question of I'm not the something. I think that was a typo, honestly, Earl, but that's okay. I get what you're saying, though. I autism is kind of something I have. It's not the anything. It's just it just yeah. Let's see. I think some people I notice have less empathy towards humans being shown towards animals, and if you don't show it, the definition of a psychopath. Yeah, I think if we divorce morals and ethics from the human empathy part, we're heading to you can have this coldly logical society. Even the Vulcans in science fiction had to have some sort of mysticism, a humanistic mysticism to maintain some sort of societal cohesion with their fellow Vulcans. And I think Gene Roddenberry and all the people that developed that race were trying to emphasize that point that even the most logical of societies is going to have something that's empathic in some way towards each other. Oh, you did it twice. Okay. Sorry about that, Earl. You just assume. See, I don't find you either one of those things. And that's maybe because I know the feeling of how that feels. You would save a dog from immediate peril before I'd save a random human. Yeah, see, that's the thing. See, I don't know if, see, the issue of autism and morality and ethics kind of rears its ugly head here because we do have people in society who aren't necessarily against society, they just don't like it. Okay, I don't like human society because I don't understand it. It makes me uncomfortable. Um, I think the thing with animals, like dogs, I think dogs are too good for us. Okay, so there's that. I know. I killed Earl as a girl. Yeah, she's a girl. She takes the name Earl for other reasons. Yeah, probably. But you have to have some sort of. But there you bring up a point, Elder God, that human empathy is necessary for certain human actions. Like I don't know too many people that have sex with each other for rational reasons. Okay, I just don't. I don't. I don't feel like there. There's a lot of human activity that is rational, quote unquote, but it isn't in the moment. It really isn't based on rationality or logic. So, you know, yeah, it's lining the pockets. Yeah. You learned about compassion and empathy by sitting alone in a dark room. Are you doing a darkness retreat like Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. So, uh, is there a dog? So you're going the dyslexic atheist route of whether there's a dog or not? Okay. Yeah, I think dogs are. It's an interesting interspecies morals and ethics question, isn't it, with dogs and humans? Because there are some societies that dogs are lunch, um, and other societies that dogs you wouldn't dream of doing that. Okay, like in America, that's considered cruelty, and I balk at the idea. I don't know. Yeah, he was. To me, Leonard Nimoy's Mr. Spock was the pinnacle of science fiction characters, and because of the nerve pinch. So, you wrote a book about it. See, I don't know what that's like. Um, I've never done a darkness thing. Uh, I guess consider my entire life a darkness retreat. uh, uh, I don't. I don't know if I feel very. I don't feel shame. I tell you what. I guess I do feel some shame at some of the things I do. If there's something I don't feel, it's pity. I very rarely have pity for people who make stupid choices. I don't have any understanding of it, which is bad because I've made a lot of stupid choices myself, and so there's that. But yeah, thanks, Ronald, for the gifted membership. I appreciate that. And who got that? Nick Knack got that one. So congratulations, Nick Knack, and thank Ronald for the gifted membership. I appreciate that. Yeah, I do that. Okay. Yeah, it feels dehumanizing. That's why I don't like people putting those in front of most things. I just don't. I don't know. See. Hmm. Uh, this is probably the most. This is probably the most helpful advice to a lot of people. I have a hard time being empathic to myself, probably most of all. Um, Me and my therapist go around and round about this all the time about giving myself credit when I do something right. And yeah, it, I don't know. I find, I find it difficult to, I as a deconverted person, I think the thing I struggle with the most is how was I so stupid not to see all this stuff earlier. And so I don't really show myself a lot of empathy when it comes to my intelligence. So yeah, I'm my own worst enemy. I don't quite relate to the song though, because there's a lot of things the person in the song does that my own worst enemy that I don't relate to because I've never done them. So mm, I don't know. My internal editor on a lot of things gets me in trouble. It gets me in so much trouble when I'm writing. Like I'm writing earlier in chat and I was catching it because I get critical of myself. Like Ed, you're spelling like shit, and you should be better at this by now. You're 56 and you should be able to spell words without messing them up. So, but yeah, I'm very much my own worst critic most of the time, and it's probably why I'm so critical of other humans. So let's see. Anytime I create anything artistic, I think it's bad, no matter how much I'm told it's good. Yep, me too. Like every stream. Was that a bad stream or a good stream? Could have done this. Could have done that. As a content creator, I absolutely feel what you're doing there. When I write, I am the same way. But in the end, when I have a finished product writing, I also feel like it's the best expression of my emotions, but it's also shit. So morals and ethics aside, it's like we'll go down one of those rabid rabbit trails, and but it's like I don't feel like things that I do are good, but they are an adequate expression of what I'm feeling sometimes. but I've never have written anything where I said this is good enough to publish. So I've always been too critical of it to do that, to even think about doing that. Yeah, and this is the thing that has helped me is getting rid of the faith part. When people ask me, do you feel better now? You can't feel good now that you've left the faith. And I'm like, I feel better than I ever have because I don't have somebody telling me I'm no good all the time, that I'm a sinner that needs to be saved and all that shit. I just, without that part of the ethical equation, what are human beings becomes a question that's more open. We're not assuming that people are bad. We're not assuming necessarily that they're good, whatever good and bad mean. Okay. And that allows us to kind of re-evaluate what human beings are. And then that changes the nature of human ethics. Like, I don't think human ethics are a bunch of bad people trying to be better. It's like we're human beings trying to be more human. So I haven't seen Michael. Michael's my resident German. I haven't seen him yet today, though. That's a debatable point. Some people view autism as a disability, others don't. I'm one of the people that don't. I just think it's something that is, and it affects. It's like, being. I often use the electrical wiring analogy. I'm just wired different. I don't sense things, or I have different sensory apparatus than people. Mine are turned up way too high. Like my light sensitivity and my heat sensitivity are turned up too much, and it can depress the hell. So there's that. Oh man, just want to detach from it once. Yeah, see, and that's kind of what I do. Once I get done with a project and I'm finished with it emotionally, it tends to sit in the dumpster. Um, then I'll look it up later and I'll be like, oh, yeah, that was shit, and it's still shit. Yeah, I'm part German too, so through my dad's mother, Irene. Uh, yeah, I feel that way because of repeated trauma in the church. I don't trust people worth a damn anymore. I'm having a real problem with that. It affects a lot of aspects of my life, like dating. Like, it takes a while for me to trust anybody for any good reason. Um, so that's kind of like that. But yeah, I think I'm a pretty decent human being to most people. I don't think that people put up with me because they like me. Just got to deal with me. That's why. See, you were talking about darkness retreat. I've got like curtains over every window. The light level in my apartment is always very, very dim because the photosensitivity just gets to me. So, especially in the summertime, I make sure those curtains are closed. And people ask, are you some sort of vampire? And it's like, I can see where the vampire stories come from people like me. So, but that's it. But yeah, the church has kind of ruined me for relationships because church relationships are so temporary, and often you invest a lot of time into somebody and then they take off. It's something that I deal with repeatedly. So, um, uh, yeah, it's different from person to person. I think that's kind of why there's a debate, because some people say autism can get to a point where it is a disability, but I don't know. I have superpowers. Like, I can literally be calm in the middle of the most contentious times, and people consider that a superpower. How do you stay so calm and just do what needs to be done? And it's like, I don't know. I don't have any feelings right now. So there's that. Uh, oh, I don't know. Maybe we do rule the world. I don't know. I haven't been given any stock or anything in that. So nobody sent me a check yet for my part in rulership of the world. So, uh, no. Yeah, I just, oh, your bias ex-wife was from East Germany. I was just thought it was a cultural thing. Why she was so heartless. Is your wife? No, it's your ex-wife. Okay, I see. I see. Okay. And I don't think it's a cultural thing. I've met Germans and Germans will admit this, and I'm part German myself. I think we do, as Earl points out, have an emotional constipation. Like it's hard for us to express our emotions. And the more I study autism and where it's most common, like if John from Holland, I haven't seen him tonight, but if he was here, he's the one that mentioned that there's a very high rate of autism among Dutch people, and so the genetic where it comes from is starting to be much more well known. Uh, so there's that. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a hard thing. Uh, with autistic people, you cannot assume like the normal, instinctively understood rules of that you have with, what more neuronormal people have. They don't work with autistic people, and that's usually what tries people's patience. Like I know people get impatient with me because they try to butter me up, and I do not give a shit about you trying to butter me up. Okay, I do not care. If you want to get to my emotions and get to my heart, you have to go a different route than what most people do. So, uh, she took you to the cleaners. Oh, I'm so glad me and my ex had a very amicable divorce. It truly was amicable. Once we figured out we weren't good for each other. So I still have my beefs about that, but yeah, it feels like to a lot of people it's too much work because you have to. I can understand it though, Earl, because you have to change the way you look at the relationship with the person. Like there's certain normal constructs that people have when they enter into relationships with people that people who aren't autistic use and understand instinctively. When it comes to us, they can't follow their instincts anymore, and it is a lot of work. I think the moment I put it, on my dating apps, for instance, that I'm autistic, I know I'm shutting down 90% of people that would be interested if I didn't put that. Okay, because they think, oh man, that's going to be a lot of fucking work, and they don't want to do it if they understand anything about it. Um, so I don't know. It depends on what God we're talking about. There are so many. There's like 4,000 of them, Elizabeth. Which one? See, that's my other objection to the whole divine command theory. People, it's like which divinity is giving the commands is a good question. Argue from my time as a manager that human thought varies widely. It exists. Yeah, I agree with you to a certain point. Um, I don't know if there is a God. He's used autistic people to throw a monkey wrench into things. Because when I have like my immediate boss has trouble dealing with me because she's trying to find ways to motivate me, and I am not motivated by the standard bullshit that motivates everybody else, that seems to motivate everybody else. So it's like there's that. Yes, it's a very wide spectrum of which God we're talking about. Okay, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's every time they say you got to have a God, I'm like, which one? Which one? So Uh, I seem to remember the skit. Yeah, I remember. Wide spectrum. Hmm. But yeah, I don't know if we got any farther, but I do know this. I think the accusation that's going to come from theists is not going to stop. I think my point in this stream is to have an idea of what a better answer is when people say that. And to me, the best answer has been human ethics and morality are based on a lot of human things. And there's other stuff outside of any faith or God that we all agree on. So, or most of us do anyway. Uh, yeah, that's a well-known social phenomena that we political scientists worry about. There's an old expression in political science that as long as human beings know where their next three meals are coming from, they'll behave. It's that when certain basic foundational needs are in question that people will behave very badly to get those needs. So, uh, so I don't see. This is why Azo, I think, was it Azo Earl that suggested that your name be changed to the Earl woman or Earl Grey woman, uh, something like that. Yeah, I do believe it is. The law being followed created trust. I don't know. Depends on the law. See, I would argue that not all laws were ethical or moral at times. Slavery was legal. Apartheid was legal. There's a lot of things that are made legal. Legality isn't a really good test of ethics because it's just people in power passing rules and usually to benefit themselves. So I would agree with that, but I think a lot of what happens with theists is they say, yeah, but that means you can step on other people. And it's like, I'm not sure that's the best way to survive. I don't think you then have to have this long roundabout discussion um, about um the that survival doesn't necessarily mean you step on other people, that survival is better achieved by other means like cooperation and showing empathy. But yeah, morals and ethics being based on the law and orders, yeah, are just not good ethics. So there's that. My lady Earl, yes. I think that was Azho's suggestion. I seem to remember that. He's not here to confirm, I don't think. So yeah, that's yes. And I think that's the thing about the survival issue is what are we talking about? Are we surviving as individuals or species or as a society or individual society or both? And if you say both, then the rules really change quite a bit. Spicy brains unite. You don't think that counts? It counts. Yeah, this is the other thing that I will put back into theists' faces about their morals and ethics, and that's like, dude, your morals and ethics allow for this. Slavery just being one of those thises. Yeah, atheists have all intelligence levels. They just don't. The commonality we have, we just don't buy the God stories. So, yeah, I think another aspect of human survival is to thrive as a society because then in prosperity you have a lot better chance of survival. So, we just had a discussion about him earlier and his lack of empathy. Yeah, pretty much. Are they down on the physical substrate? Yeah, I definitely think that they're evolved and they're necessary to just even be human. So, yeah. Yeah, Elizabeth's been around before. I like her too. A lot of people, I like a lot of people. I have a varied opinions and that sort of thing. Yeah, that's kind of where I think where a lot of us are worried. When people, the thing is, Musk generates a lot of attention towards himself, which deflects attention from whatever Trump's doing. He's still not a very good second, although Vance isn't is worse. So you'll have to excuse me that part of my ethics is also to be skeptical as hell about anything that says something is true. So I'll have to analyze that and kick it around. But I appreciate the thought, though. I don't want you to feel like I'm not appreciating what you're saying, but I'm too skeptical anymore to just accept statements. This is true. So some people don't like me, like a lot of people here. I like you. I like almost everybody here. I don't know. Is that? I don't know. Yeah, I think we need each other. I think that's why I say empathy and emotions will never die. I don't think that's ever going to go away. So, um, so see, I, I don't, I don't know where you're going with that. Usually, if you're a theist, they want to say it's all based on your opinion and feelings, and that's just not true. So, there's that. But it depends on how you're defining subjectivity. If you're going to define it as emotions and opinion, that's not what subjectivity is in moral discussions. All morality is subject to some mind, and so it's all subjective. Even the people that believe that God gave laws, it's subject to that God, so it's still subjective. I agree. Live chat isn't the best place to explain. So, but it's a lot of fun. I will look it up though. I'm one of those people that look shit up eventually. Yeah, you don't have it. Well, I Christians would get along here better if they didn't come in and just like say shit that they don't prove or bother to prove. Yeah, that worked so well. So there's that. Oh, let's see. I gotta wrap up here. This discussion's been so good though. Um, See, I can usually empathize with people close to me and or in my community. I don't know how to empathize with somebody whose life I can't fathom living. Hmm. Do yeah, I can relate to a certain extent. I guess my time as a pastor, if it did anything positive, is it allowed me, I had to kind of get into people's heads and shoes sometimes. So I guess I could kind of empathize with their life and why they live it, but not always. I can't emotionally do it, but intellectually I can kind of do it. Yeah, and good luck getting rid of the supply when there's money to be made. um, I don't know about that. I think morality has developed, and I dislike the idea of truth. Okay, especially when, I mean, you're using math, and I view math as a tool that human beings have invented to its own language used to describe certain things, but it's not inherently true. You could definitely say that you can change math or do math a different way. And so, thus, if you're going to hold on to that, you can do morality a different way too and still be effective. I don't allow bigots, no. If somebody came in here with some white supremacy nonsense, they'd be banned by me personally. So I don't put up with that bullshit. I don't put up with bullshit where you're so tribalistic you can't see other people as human. Right, so that I draw a line somewhere. It's my channel, my stream. So I would say mathematical truths are subject to other mathematical truths. I'm not sure they're objective. I'm not sure many mathematicians would look at it that way. So, and I'm not sure morality goes that direction either. I'm glad morality is like subjective, so it's changeable. Because I wouldn't have wanted to stay in the era of slavery in the United States, for instance. I'm glad we got past that and changed it. So, yes, they only exist in a cranky elder God says it better than I did. Um, they're truths that only exist in a certain framework that we created in order to describe certain things. So, I've had that argument where people argue for math for God, and it's like, no, I can document how math was developed as its own kind of language to describe certain things and help us understand things better. But it's a human creation. So, yeah, all black markets have unintended consequences when you ban stuff. It always has. There's always a trade off. That's the first thing you learn in economics is there's always a trade off. You can't put there's okay, I see what you're saying. I the only explanation I've ever been able to come up with, Earl, is that the people are brought up that way, and so it's normal, and we don't see it as normal because we weren't brought up that way. Um, it's kind of one of those problems where I don't understand. Uh, why they get that. No, once again, these are things that we created to describe certain things. Okay, even Pythagoras and his theorem are stuff that you could look at it a different way. Mathematicians have proven that math could be done a completely different way, and it still would express some sort of truth. Okay, but it's not about expressing truth; it's about describing truth. And so, yeah, I'm sorry that just doesn't work. I don't know. See, once again, saying something is true or false isn't really a good argument for me. Probably a lot of them would. I recognize how you just can't empathize. Yeah, I understand. It's because I can say avocados plus avocados equals guacamole. Okay, you we created the concept to describe a certain thing, and we say we do too. These are all things that we have created. They're subjective to human understanding and development. Okay, you're trying to find objective moral truths, and there aren't any. An objective moral truth would stand on its own, not in relationship to any kind of mind. That's why, like, divine command theory ethics are subjective too. They're subjective to the mind of whatever God you think gives the law. Okay, everything in morality is subjective. Okay, and I don't think math and morality are analogous of each other. Okay, I think they're two very different subjects. Okay, and math is something that we have created. So uh, yeah, it takes human minds to understand that 2 + 2 = 4, and so it's subjective. Yeah, it's subjective to those human minds. But morality isn't objective. They're not analogous. All morality is subject to some sort of mind, human minds. If you bring in God, and it's still subjective to God's mind. An objective moral ethic would stand on its own without need for God or any mind, period. That would make it objective. No such thing exists, in my opinion. Yeah, it assumes stuff. So, yes, they have, and they have. Okay, we've come up with other things based on those theorems where people have brought in other human equations to describe things. The notion that math is this somehow objective, abstract thing that just exists and we discovered it. No. Okay. We developed it. It's like the development of English. Okay. We developed a language so we could communicate. We developed math so we can communicate. I'm not slow. I've just thought about this a lot, sir. And being insulting is just so demeaning. Demonstrate how I'm slow. You haven't done that. You're just making statements that I don't agree with. Why is it that when you people run out of argument, you run to the insults? Okay. I mean, apparently you're not a very good teacher then. Okay. So maybe you need to work on your teaching and communication. Yeah. See, got to run away when you've actually run into somebody that knows what the hell they're talking about. So, well, thanks everybody. I got to run. I'm way over time where I normally am, but it's been a really good discussion. Thanks everybody for showing up. Thanks for the one super chat and the donated membership. Appreciate both of those. I'll count those both. So still have 8 more things to get before we have a stream on Friday. So, but I got a couple more streams to go. I will be streaming Rabyd Fire on Wednesday. I have a birthday party to go to tomorrow for my mother, who is turning 84. And so I want to make sure I'm there for that. And so I'll do Rabyd Fire on Wednesday instead. I don't have my therapist appointment this week, so I will do that. But thanks everybody for stopping by, even the theists who allowed us to demonstrate that they don't understand what objective means. Again, they just don't. But it was a good discussion, everybody. So thank you very much. And as always, live your best life. You only get one go around and then it's over. And then you want to take all your time, money, and opportunities, give them to yourself, the people you love and care for, and to make this a better world. You'd be happier if you do. And don't waste them on the trappings of religion and faith, because that's a dead end. I speak from experience. And as always, folks, thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you all next time.